Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Minus Guys. This is episode 21 of this long-running show. I can't believe we've done 21 of these now. This is exciting. This is great. I'm here with my buddies, Nathaniel Bandy, Swanky Box, Tetrabit Gaming, and D-Pad Gamer, who is in stealth mode currently right now. And today, we're going to be talking about PC games from our childhood. Not necessarily 90s PC games, just games that we played on PCs or computers, whichever, when we were kids. And I see a lot of assets that we have in our chat because we want to forward these to our editor. But we have a lot of material to talk about. So who wants to take the first game?
I'll break it off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start it off with some of the early stuff. For me, I didn't get a PC till I think it was 98. So I didn't have a Windows 95. We had Windows 98. But my first experiences with PC games was at school and stuff. So a lot of the stuff that I remember was a lot of the edutainment games. So one, Dr. Quandary, or whatever it's called, The Mysterious Island of Dr. Quandary. I'm scrolling through to check the title right now. The Secret Island of Dr. Quandary was this weird thing where you go to this park. It's like a circus, and you're hey, I'm gonna try this bottle game, or where you throw these balls at these bottles, and depending on how good you do, you basically get cursed by the doctor, and he turns you into the doll that you win, and then you spend the rest of the game trying to solve different math problems and other types of things, where you're basically trying to free yourself from being entrapped into this doll body. So it was kind of actually really creepy in terms of a kid's game. It had a very eerie feeling to it, especially since the ages of the people playing it were probably 5 years old.
Right.
So it was kind of honestly a little creepy. But you kind of explored the island sort of in a Zelda fashion, where you would need X item from one corner of the island to then open up a gate somewhere else. Definitely have some fond memories from that, but I always felt like it was too long to finish at school. So a lot of times we just had to keep starting over.
That was a point and click adventure, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of these are going to be point and click adventures.
Yeah,
actually.
true.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to really quick segue off because I think it's interesting how you said you got your first PC in 1998. I actually owned one, and this is going to sound weird because I'm younger than you. I owned a PC when I was 3 years old, so that was 1996. And you want to know why I owned a PC at 3 years old? Because for whatever reason, when my dad's PC, they let me on it. I don't remember the entire story, but basically they let me on the PC, and I was clicking buttons, and I completely corrupted their computer. And at that point, it was so broken that once they fixed it, I got to the point where I just loved being on the PC. So they just got me one so I could just goof around and do whatever with it. But anyway, I guess speaking of point and clicks, another game I played was Sonic Schoolhouse. I played this, I think I was 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it's super interesting that, 2 years ago we had the Baldi game, which was directly inspired by Sonic Schoolhouse. And back then, this was not seen as a creepy edutainment game. All you really did was you went around collecting letters and numbers and stuff. It was pretty basic, but now when you look at the game, honestly, it does have this really weird vibe to it. But that was a game that I played a lot.
Yeah, it has the Mario teaches typing, or Mario is missing vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Did any of you ever play Teaches Typing as kids, or no?
Not as a kid. When I was older, I played it.
I played the first one, not the second one. I felt like if I played the second one, I would have had nightmares for days. So terrifying. Floating Mario head.
Hello, it's me, Mario.
The fact that Mario shoves an entire typewriter down the front of his pants.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, dude, he jumps out of, because you have to defeat a Koopa Troopa. He jumps out, snaps the neck of his Koopa Troopa, and he looks at Luigi, and he just takes it, shoves it down the front of his trousers, and pats it, and it just becomes one with Mario. He absorbs its power.
Logic.
Oh God. Now
So
I need
weird.
to find the clip, Grant, because we don't have it in here.
Yeah.
I've never even seen that before. That sounds insane.
That sounds like a creepypasta.
Yeah,
It's a
it
creepypasta.
does.
What were you gonna say, D-Pad?
I was gonna say I've never actually seen gameplay of
Sonic Schoolhouse, but it makes me think of like, oh, this if they had balls, they would have added this to Sonic Adventure and the Chow Garden like like little schoolhouse thing, just like toss it in there. We need a sequel.
We got Labyrinth.
Like literally look up 30 seconds of Sonic Schoolhouse gameplay, and you'll be like, okay, this is literally Baldi. Like it's insanely similar. Like it's definitely inspired by that game.
All right.
Right.
How about you, Tetramino?
I think if I recall correctly, I mean, most of these games that I posted, I have like they're pretty much fever dreams for me. Like I remember playing them, but like they're very vague. Some of them I do remember. But anyway, the first, well, when I was born, my family we had a Mac, it was like a '95 Mac. I don't know what the model's called or whatever, but
With, like,
it had a bunch of games on
screen, it. One of those Macs. Where it was
yeah,
yeah, I remember those. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was all in one. I'm pretty sure the CD drive was in the monitor, if I remember
That's
correctly.
What they used to do.
The files are in the computer.
Yeah,
Inside the
exactly.
monitor.
I'm gonna see if I can find one. But yeah, like so yeah, my parents just had like a bunch of like CD-ROMs and stuff. So yeah, some of them like I just like remember them. I don't necessarily remember what the game is about. Like Nikolai's Trains. I don't remember what the game was about. It was about a cat and a little boy, and it was like a point and click. I don't remember much about it. I just remember playing it. And Spectre. I don't know if that's a game that was like pre-installed. It wasn't on a disc. It was on the Mac. It was like a game that used just like really simple vector graphics, like cubes and triangles and whatever. And like you were just like a tank, and the objective was to drive around the stage and collect flags that were found around the stage, all while avoiding or fighting other polygonal enemy tanks, whatever. And you had to like shoot them and whatever to progress. I just had a lot of fun with it. I think the last time I played it was not super recently, but maybe within the last 10 years. We still had that computer. I think my parents got rid of it by now. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that game. And then eventually, I don't know the timeline very well, but we had like a Windows computer eventually. I think it was Windows 95. I don't remember if it was 95 or 97, but at that point, we would always go to like these liquidation stores. My parents would always get me like these weird like compilation discs of like, they just had like a bunch of like shareware games. I guess that's the best describer word for them. Like literally like 100, most of them were just like DOS ports of games, like 101 games. Some of them were pretty good though. Like I found one here. Let's see, a game pack 8 plus in 1. They can't just say like 9. It's 8. It's 8.
We had one called. It just said a ton of games on it, and it was 980 games on one disc.
Yeah,
I remember something similar
too, but I remember nothing about it.
I just remember some of the games were like, they weren't just the point and click games. They were the games you'd like walk around, but you have to like type like open to open a door or do this to, and I just like, I was like 4. I could barely read English. So I had no idea what I was doing. But the games I remember,
I knew those compilations were trash. Even when I was like 8 years old, I'm like, yeah, this is bad. There's other games to play.
Yeah, but like the games I remember mostly is Jazz Jackrabbit, and even that I don't remember too much. But I remember playing Jazz Jackrabbit, and I remember playing Commander Keen, Goodbye Galaxy, which I think is the 4th Commander Keen game. Which I'm surprised Swanky earlier said he didn't know what Commander Keen was. A little bit of lore. So I think it's an idsoft game or ID Soft, whatever it's called. Same company that made Doom, I'm pretty sure.
Correct. Yeah, actually, they reference Commander Keen in the most recent Doom games.
Oh,
well, actually, Commander Keen is actually, well, it's also like, it's like Doom, Wolfenstein, Commander Keen. It's all the same universe, whatever. Commander Keen, the guy from Commander Keen, he's actually the grandson of the Wolfenstein guy, Blazkowicz or whatever. So it's like there's deep lore, and it's like they're completely different games. Like one game is about like killing Nazis in like alternate universes, whereas Commander Keen, you're like a boy with an imagination in his backyard doing stuff. Yeah, but those are like my most fond memories. Also Treasure Cove. There's like a whole series of those kind of games. I think Swanky mentioned.
I played Treasure Mountain.
1, 2. Yeah, I played Treasure Mountain at school. I remember playing that at school. The one I had personally was Treasure Cove. They're all the same. It's like you kind of like go around collecting objects, solving really simple math puzzles, whatever.
I thought it was weird though, like in that game in particular, I played it a lot on normal difficulty, right? And I was like, oh, I can just increase the difficulty. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Like the amount of money I got from doing math problems was like exponentially more. Like when I was doing it before, like an elf would ask me like, hey, what's 2 + 2? I'm like, 6. And he gave me like 10 cents. Then I would do it again on a higher difficulty. And obviously I know it's wrong. But And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, here's $60." I was like, "What? What am I gonna do with this money? Like, I only need $1 to go in that door."
Yeah.
It was like crazy how much the money scaled up.
As a little aside, I love that if you took that last sentence that Swank said out of context, it just sounds like you're on something. It's like, dude, you would not believe the money.
Quick maths.
You would not believe the money I got from doing math problems. This elf would come up to me and was like, "What's 2 + 2?" And he'd give me 10 cents. It's like, what?
I just remember those games, like, you'd have to replay them constantly. At the end, you would like build up to whatever. Like, I think that game you have to like build a rainbow to get across to the castle or something in Treasure Mountain. I can't remember.
You had to put like gifts in a vault or something, and then when you're done, you're like, "Oh, back to the bottom of the mountain again."
Yeah, so it just like it just incentivizes you to like keep playing the same 3 or 4 levels, whatever it was, over and over again. But yeah, you get like different treasures or whatever by doing it. Yeah, those were a lot of fun. I have good memories with those games.
I was gonna toss in and say it's weird that you guys had home computers so early. Like some of my earliest memories with playing on the computer is actually at the library, because I didn't have a home computer until like I was like 13 or 14 or something. But I played like Adventure Quest on PC. That and like obviously like cool math games and some other like just browser stuff. Congregate was a favorite. I would have done Newgrounds, but that was too risque for a child at the at the library.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, but Neopets and Adventure Quest, those games were incredible. Yeah. These days, not at all. I've tried going back. It's still live, actually. There's like you know how there's like RuneScape and like old school RuneScape? There's actually the same, but for Adventure Quest. And it's wacky trying to go back to it.
Adventure Quest, is that like the Flash based side?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In the image, you can
like
probably see the art style. Yeah, like all the armor, if they moved, they would have punctured their own like heart. Like it's
I forgot about that game. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy that like I think they've had. It's like trying to go back to a game with like 30 expansion packs. Like it was so obtuse as a thing. Like I walked in and suddenly I was like, oh, here's a demon dragon lord you could go fight, because we don't know how to make our game make sense to new people.
But yeah, I remember like you said that, like, yeah, Adventure Quest and Neopets. That was like when I think I was like grade 4 or something. That was like really, really big at the time. It was like it was pretty much the boys would play Adventure Quest, all the girls would play Neopets. There was like, hardly any like in between. There was like almost kind of like a rivalry in my classroom. Yeah.
That's bizarre.
I didn't even know about Adventure Quest. I just played Neopets.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a gender difference for that game, because like all the friends when I was in Norway, all my friends played Neopets. Like I remember I used to like make levels in this game called Meridam Castle, where you're like this dragon, and they were like the worst levels ever. But that was like my first time ever making an actual game level. But that's kind of interesting to hear that, like, I guess I don't know, maybe just in Canada, or maybe it was just where you lived. How like?
No, I mean, I definitely saw that a bit myself, but I mean, I really liked Neopets because it was basically like a platform. It was its own cool math games. It's basically just like it packaged a bunch of weird mini games you could play. I guess the same appeal is there with Club Penguin, but I never got into that. I feel like that was after my time as a child.
Yeah, that was after our time, I think.
Yeah, is that Minesweeper but not Minesweeper?
Wait, which one?
Chips Challenge. I've never heard of that.
Oh, Chips Challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
So
dude, I think it's like
I played this.
I think that game was pre-installed. I think it's pre-installed on like Windows 95 and 97. I'm pretty sure it was like one of the games that was pre-installed.
Really? Dude, it was pre-installed up until like XP, actually, like for quite a while. Because I remember playing this when I was a teenager. It's basically just like a puzzle game.
I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot too. I didn't get very good at it. I think I got to like level 10 or something. So yeah, I guess speaking of puzzle games, another one I really liked was called Super Collapse 2, and it basically looks like a basic puzzle game, and that's because it is. All you do is you click on colors. I think it's like matches of 3 or bigger, and then they disappear and fall. So kind of like Tetris, except there's actual gravity involved.
Yeah, it's like a Bejeweled or one of those.
It's kind of like Bejeweled.
Yeah,
it is, except it's more in depth because you can do more with it. Like there was like multiple modes. There was the mode where like the pieces just keep going up, but there's also puzzle where it's like you got to clear all the entire board in this many moves. And then there was strategy as well, where it was it was like Puzzle, except you would also get pieces rise at the same time. So I played that. I actually played that a lot with my dad. I played Super Collapse 2 and I think Collapse 3. So that was a really fun one when I was a kid.
Did anyone play Lego Creator besides me?
No.
I've actually not heard of that. No.
I
Okay,
might have.
I played very
'cause,
little
like,
Lego.
I don't know if
It
it's
is
like a
like-
fever dream, but like I swear I played some of the Lego PC games.
Yeah, there's a lot of Lego PC games, but Lego Creator was like the 90s Minecraft.
Oh, really?
Honestly, it was incredibly impressive for its time because it was just a sandbox environment where you could just build anything you wanted with any kind of bricks and stuff like that. You could, turn things into vehicles. You could really do a whole lot of cool stuff. Really inventive. But on top of it, everything was destructible. So you could fit a vehicle or something with what's called a dynamite launcher. And it's a dynamite brick. And it's basically like you guys ever seen like a water balloon gun? It's just like a slingshot type thing
Oh,
where it just
yeah.
launches.
Yeah.
So you can launch a dynamite brick at something and it will just blow a hole in things and the bricks will go everywhere. All of them are rendered as if, honestly, I don't even know how it even processed all the stuff that was going on like a 98 machine, right? It's just like, because I'm thinking of like those big simulation things we have now where like you can see all the different bricks and stuff falling. And but I spent so much time building stuff in that game. That was basically the Minecraft of my life, because like Minecraft came out in a time period where I wasn't really playing a whole lot of PC games. But I remember this from, I think it was 97, 98. And it just kind of blew my mind, honestly.
I think you talked about it then in a previous episode where you said like it would just like break your computer if too many things exploded or something.
Oh,
like-
I think I was talking about the Crisis barrel test
Oh, maybe.
for testing how powerful your PC is.
I mean, still trying to test Crisis in 2020. It's still like really rough. I mean, now all I can think of is like a joke I heard recently, which is Lego. I mean, they're the same material as their houses. Is houses made of flesh, or is their flesh made of house?
Yeah, right.
John, why do you think these things?
How many of you guys
surprised-
played Oregon Trail?
Oh yeah,
Of course.
In
Played that in
any way, shape,
school.
or form? It could be the first one. It could be the second one. Which ones did you guys play if you played them?
I think
me check.
I think I played the
Tyler-
original. Like I don't actually know the variations. I know there's a zombie one that was made at some point.
So I think the original is very basic graphics, right? It's like just
Yep.
black and green and white, right? Yeah.
And the second one is more like they have like drawn landscapes and like stuff like that.
Let me
It's-
see the
it's-
second one because I don't remember the second one.
I
think
think
I played
that's
the
the one
second
I
one.
played. Because I remember I played it in middle school when I didn't feel like it was after like we got our assignments done. The teachers were like, "Okay, you're allowed to play games." And the
Yeah,
only game anyone ever
exactly.
played was Oregon's Trail. It was the only good one.
I feel like I played the second one in school.
Yeah, I think it was the second one for me as well. This was like
And-
late 2000s, so whenever I guess that version was out, I would assume, because the
Well,
PCs
it
at
was-
school had Windows Vista on them.
Oh wow.
The Windows 98, if you bought it, came with ours had a stack of discs it came with. And Oregon Trail 2 was one of the games it came with. I know that much. It came, all the discs kind of looked the same. They had like a plain sticker on them and they were just written in type font what game it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Maybe I played a newer version. I don't know. I have no idea.
I was
I
gifted.
think I played 2 and 4.
Right. Oh, I was I was just gonna say like I was gifted 3 when I was a little older, but I could never get it to work, and I don't know why. Like I grew up with an XP computer, which my mom got like around 2000 2001 I want to say, and like the computers that I used at school when I lived in the States were 98 machines. So like I that's how I got to experience like a lot of things that people grew up with. For example, like Kid Pix. That's one that like a lot of people remember. That was like, oh, that was, aside from Paint, that was like a great art program because it had like all these effects and stuff. And I recently did a stream where like I'm revisiting like older stuff, and it's rough. It's so rough to go back to stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Now that I look at
So-
this, I think I actually remember it, but I never used it. I remember
Pix?
this picture.
Yeah.
Did you name your character Anime?
I wish it was an original.
That's why I started laughing when I scrolled down.
I think I played Oregon Trail 2 because, I mean, just like timeline wise, it's probably too late for the first one. But yeah, I remember also never being able to do it properly, even if it was like on. If there was there difficulty selection? I don't remember it was.
I think so.
At the start, you can choose your profession and stuff, and I think that
Oh right, yeah.
changes your difficulty depending on.
Yeah,
what you
even on
choose.
like the easiest stuff, I would always die. I would try to like ford a river and just like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what I would do at school is I would look at my classmates, be like, oh, I'm gonna name this guy this one. I don't like that guy. I'm gonna name him this. I'm gonna make him die early on. I would do stuff like that.
Oh my god.
The true G's would pick doctor, get 16 ox, and then just get 400 pounds of bacon, and then just shoot off like a rocket out west.
I
Die of a
didn't
heart
have
attack.
the
Oregon, here we go, baby.
yeah, I didn't have the pro guides for Oregon Trail 2.
Me neither. I just played it.
The speed
No
run
skill.
edition.
I was just going.
I remember I
Then you
picked the
beat
banker.
Oregon
'cause I-
Trail 2 without bacon.
There
Challenge
you
video.
go. I think I picked the banker because I think you get nothing except for like a whack ton of money, and you can like kind of just buy whatever you want. If I remember
Yeah, I think I
correctly.
remember playing the banker too, because it was like, oh, I have so much money. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like just
Exactly.
being able to
You've got
have your
to
pick of the
have
litter.
money.
I felt like the doctor perk was kind of weird though, because like doctors back then didn't really know a whole lot. So why did it make it like, oh geez, Jimmy's bleeding out of his head. Well, let's just dunk him in the river.
work.
Well,
like,
that child's clearly dead. Throw him.
put a piece of bacon on the wound.
He'll be all right to the morning.
But somehow, it gave you perks in terms of like not catching diseases as much, or I don't know.
That would make
but-
sense.
Dysentery.
It was always
died of
dysentery until you
dysentery.
always
Yeah.
died.
Dysentery or cholera. Yeah.
Yep. It was like the same 3 diseases.
I'm not sure if I would know what dysentery or I mean I probably know what cholera is, but I don't know if I would ever heard of dysentery other than Oregon Trail.
Yeah, I feel like the same way. Yeah,
It's an OG disease.
we've
Only
come a
90s
long
kids would
way.
get it.
Got him.
No.
It's almost as deadly as thirst.
Yikes! Hey, Moby Games has died of
Yep.
thirst. I'm seeing it right now.
Yep, die of thirst. I remember that one. I mostly died of like dysentery, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one
And
that
it was
was like
dumb. Sometimes
constantly
it just-
drowned in rivers?
I would sometimes
I
too,
just remember
yeah.
like losing a bunch of stuff in the river. It'd be like, you
Oh, yeah.
lost half of your
All
bacon.
the time. Because I never knew how to cross it without losing all my stuff, or like just getting
Yeah,
stuck and
same.
dying. That helped a
It's all
lot.
No one in
flags
the
and
universe
wheels
like
and float,
learned
man.
how to like
Yeah.
tie down their stuff.
I didn't
That
know
was
what
just-
I was doing.
I was just gonna say, like, I just remember, like, whenever we would approach the river, it'd just be like, oh, these poor horses, man. Like, they have to
Yeah.
trek through all that. Sucks.
Yeah.
It was so stressful too, because you're like, okay, go, and then you see them like walk on out, and then they get stuck, and you're like, no.
That was the wrong move.
See,
Whoa, what could I have done differently?
Did you guys play the one where you could like hunt birds and like
Yeah.
ox and stuff? There's like a
Yes,
mini game where you could like
yes.
click. Yeah, you have to like shoot
Yeah,
them with the
that's the
rifle or
version
whatever.
I
I
played.
forgot about that.
see, but that's the problem though. Like I remember just, I think what I hated most, it'd be like an open field, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's a deer. I'm gonna shoot it with my rifle.
Yeah.
Boom. Jimmy died from a ricochet bullet. I was like, what did it bounce off of? There's nothing in front of me. There's nothing it could have bounced off of. But somehow, someone I fired the gun and someone, wanted the bullet. If you guys have seen
Oh,
that
hell
movie,
yeah.
just killed my entire family. And and I still missed the deer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Some of the deaths were seemed like super random.
Yeah.
Like someone would die and like 5 seconds later, someone else got sick. 2 steps later, they're dead. Just like, oh.
Yep.
so easy.
Like you leave the town, first trail to the very first area, someone dies of famine. It's like, it's like
Not
They
enough
could have
bacon.
told me they were
Chuck,
hungry.
it's been 2 hours since we left.
It's like, did you not eat this morning?
Maybe they haven't eaten in like a
They're
week
fresh.
and then they just left. I don't know. Who knows with that game?
Yeah.
Go to Oregon Trail.
But yeah, I don't think I ever had that on my own PC. I
No, me
only
neither.
ever played that at school.
One of my other favorite games was called Odell Down Under, and it was just fish that ate other fish. So you could choose what kind of fish you wanted to be. All the kids always chose great white shark because why not? Because you could eat everything. But like you could be like, oh, I want to be plankton. And then like you could have the worst time of your life trying to figure out how to beat this game because you could only like scrape plants or whatever. Or you pick the fish that like doesn't eat anything except for like the guts of other fish out of the teeth of bigger fish, and like you have like a miserable life. But it was a really cool game. It was just like I don't know the point of it. It just was a lot of fun. It's something you could pick up and play quickly, and then if you had to leave, if class was getting over or your free time was getting over, easily to shut down. I mean, just
Oh,
was fun.
that's interesting. Because there was 2 fish games that I played a lot.
I was
when
gonna say that sounds very different from Insane Aquarium, which I'm sure that Nathan's
Yeah.
gonna bring up.
Well, I'll bring up 2 real quick. So Insane Aquarium, I actually made a video on this like last year. It's like an aquarium simulator, except the idea is basically just to build up wealth and add like pets and stuff. But there's like actual levels. You basically had to like build up money to buy an egg, and that's how you unlock things. But the game that I've never heard anyone talk about is Feeding Frenzy. Has anyone played that one?
is that like Hungry Hippos, but on
Kind of.
crack?
Fish.
Like, basically what you do is you start, this is another level-based game. You start as a small fish, and you're trying to grow to be a bigger fish. And the way you do that is when you start small, you can eat other small fish, and then eventually you turn into a medium size. Then you can eat medium and small size, and then eventually become large, and you can eat everything. But what makes it so hard is that when you're smaller, the larger fish can also eat you. So, like, the beginning of the levels were always really challenging because you had to be so careful of where you were eating, because if a big fish saw you, that thing is fast and it's going to eat you right away. So it was like a mix of a stealthy / action kind of game.
That sounds almost exactly like Odell Down Under.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's why I
that's-
wanted to bring it up, because I was going to say that sounds really similar. So I just remember Feeding Frenzy was like super addicting. Like I didn't beat a lot of games when I was a kid, but that game I beat like 2 or 3 times.
So I never actually played either of those, though I looked them up and it seemed really familiar. I found it. There's a game called Fishy with maybe an exclamation mark. It was a Flash game, and it's super basic. Like I'm talking like a gradient background.
This looks similar, except Feeding Frenzy just looks cleaner because it's newer, I think.
Well, yeah. Also, it looked like they actually had a budget. But yeah, this Flash game is like, I played it so often because you start so super tiny, but it was like you could grow to be like half the size of the screen. But like if you even touched something that was slightly bigger than you were dead. So I think that actually is one of the games that like spawned my anxiety, because it was like something about the music just like it doesn't even get like more rushed. It's just always there. Like that game was so addictive though. Like I remember playing that so many times.
Isn't that hilarious how 3 of us have played basically the same fish game, but they're all completely different games? That's so funny to me.
I'm scrolling through and checking out the different things. Like a lot, I feel like I'm gonna just rifle through a few of mine. Mission Think was like this weird puzzle solving game where like you had to collect pieces that you then would use in like this board game against the main antagonist. You just solve lots of different puzzles and you explored around. It was a lot of fun. Kind of hearing you guys talk about some of these other things. There was the Operation game. So like it was
Like the
board game, but it had all these other mini games associated with it. I remember this one in particular. You were germs on top of like a dead body, and you would, or not maybe a dead body, someone in a hospital or something, but and you would eat other germs, and in order to eat them, you had to like, it was like competitive Mario Bros. Like, and hypothetically, you would die if someone jumped on you. So imagine Mario and Luigi fighting, but whoever jumped on top of each other's head first would win. And you could play that with 2 players, I believe, and it was a lot of fun.
I remember that. That just like triggered a fever dream. I remember this too.
I'm explaining this. I see Tetra like going back in time, like reverting to a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of that game, but that sounds pretty sick.
Posting a video of
Look
it.
up.
I remember this. I did play this too.
Oh
heck yeah!
that is weird. That's not what I expected. But
PC
That's one of
game.
that's one of the mini games. Yeah, the one you just posted,
Huh.
or maybe that's all of them. I
see.
can't see. Space
That was one of
Hospital.
the. Do I have it actually? That might be one of the ones I got with like a cereal box.
That's
There were
possible.
so many cereal box ones. Oh boy, there were so many
I
cereal
mean,
box.
there was one that was kind of like Oregon Trail, but it was like in the Amazon. That guy was cereal box with Bright Dog. I think it was like the internet service provider that came with it. It was like the AOL discs that came and stuff.
There was a lot of edutainment games that we were discussing earlier, like a lot of from the Learning Company, Reader Rabbit,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Those were also like games that you discover. Probably, I feel like I maybe discovered them at school and then like told my parents about it. They were like, okay, and like they got me and my sister some growing up.
We had Reader Rabbit, and the only thing I remember from it is cooking. There was some sort of cooking mini game in the one we had, where you
is
just
it like is it like inside a tree?
yeah, I think it was, and you
Yeah,
like, mix
okay.
different things, and like I would just try to make like the most disgusting things to see if people would be like ashamed of my creation or they would like it.
Wait, so you don't cook the rabbit in Reading Rabbit?
P.U.
I mean, good. And there's also
Eating
like
rabbit.
Paint, Write, and Play was like my first art program, and it had like this hedgehog or porcupine or something that was like the mascot, and it's like paint, write, and play. Like it talked really weird, but like I just remember that being like my first actual like sort of like art program. There was, and the last one was like this writing program that like had the safe in it that you could like write something and put it in the safe. The problem is you could password protect the safe, and then as a kid you would forget, so you had like these things
wow,
locked
that
in there
sounds
forever.
interesting. That sounds familiar for some reason.
I don't know
what
what it's
that
even
is.
called. I'm gonna quickly hack the internet and see if I can find it.
Swanky brought up like an art program from his childhood, and growing up, my parents, or like my mom, I guess, brought this disc. I don't know where the front of it is, and I mentioned that I was doing some streams where like I went like to what is it, Cool Math Games? Or
Yeah.
What?
That's
like
one
I
of
didn't
them.
I didn't grow up with that, but a lot of like my viewers did. And I brought this up, and like nobody knew what it was. I'm like, oh, let me look it up, and I looked it up online, and it's like it's nowhere. It is you cannot find this game. Like
what is it
there are
called?
very few sources. It's called Kids Activity Center from a company called Global Star Software, who was I think absorbed into Take-Two Interactive. Yeah.
Huh.
So like, they have like a lot of old games, and like there's a list of their games, and it's not on there, and it's just like a very simple, very very basic art program where a lot of it is just clip art, and I've worked really hard to get it working again because I feel like people need to see this. It's nothing great, but it was a huge part of my childhood, and I can't wait to like experience it again.
Can you still? I don't think you can still play some of these CD-ROMs on current computers, can you?
No,
If you got a virtual machine,
a
or if
virtual
you-
machine.
Yeah.
either that or literally buy an old computer from like the 90s. I don't know how else you would play them.
Yeah.
There's
I guess-
there's a software called DOSBox that like lets you play
Yeah.
old Windows 95, 98 games. And this was not compatible with it. So like that's why I'm so confused.
Oh.
Then you're honestly
Except-
you're probably gonna have to get an old PC.
Yeah. No, I installed a virtual machine. I figured out how to install a virtual machine just so I could play this game.
Oh man. Okay. Well, now you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you've gone through that much effort.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to even search for stuff. I don't even like. I'm looking right now trying to figure out how I can search to find out what that writing program was called. There's no way in heck.
It's hard. See, it's interesting. It's really hard to find 90s games. Like obviously like game preservation is like super important to a lot of people, but I feel like when it comes to PC gaming, it's definitely not as like sought after. Because there was a game I played with my dad called Ignition. It's just like this basic top-down racing game, and it took me like a month just to find it, and it actually works in DOSBox, and I got it working.
Nice.
But I mean, I'm lucky I found it. Like there's probably so many other PC games that I will never find. They're just completely lost in time. They weren't saved to the Wayback Machine. No one has the CDs anymore. So
You need like a bunch of information, like the manufacturer, because like I
Yeah.
did find bits of information about this game on like the Wayback Machine, or like you could look up a barcode, and like I looked that up and it exists, but it's just like other than that, there's very little information. So it's like
Yeah.
you could probably start with like writing software that had the safe on it, like from the 90s, and maybe something will come up. But
I just tried that. Yeah, it's insane. I like that's like people are like the word writing. People are thinking, oh, write to a disk, safe. How to put it in safe mode. I was like, this is gonna be impossible.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what was my first disc game, because I had a few. I remember actually I know it was Terraria, the first game that forced me to get Steam, and I never went back to discs. But like I had Spore, and that game was incredible. It's garbage, I will admit that, but I've still gone back so many times and replayed it. And I think I liked it so much because it's literally 5 games just like glued together. Not well at all, but because like you have like the cell mode where you're like, it's like a 2D like going around eating stuff, sort of like Feeding Frenzy in a way, or like the Fishy game. And the character thing was like this weird. It was sort of a sim, not really. Did anybody else play Spore? Like,
No, but I've seen it.
No.
I've heard of it.
okay,
Very, not a whole lot, but
okay,
I'm familiar.
it's not bad. I say that after calling it trash, but like, yeah.
Now that you don't know, I will go back on what I said.
Yeah, I just want more people to talk about the game because it's really good.
Yeah, I remember like
I like it.
back
I
in the
want to
day,
see
I
like what
really
you guys,
wanted
because
it.
I feel like maybe I was just going to say that another game that Deep had brought up that I think that you guys probably have more experience than I do. I mean, it's pinball, but like space pinball
yeah.
from XP.
Space
like
Cadet or
Space
everyone
Cadet.
audibly like, oh right, Space Cadet 3D.
Don't forget
Yeah.
3D pinball. It's
Yeah,
3D.
you got to respect the 3D. I think there was like a series of those games, but I've only ever played the one. But I only remember playing it because I would sometimes like go with my dad to his work, and for some reason, his boss let me into his office, and I was able to play on the PC. I was careful, but I remember like printing out images of like Metroid Prime characters. I was like, oh, it's so cool. I think I got in trouble for using too much ink. But yeah, I would play MS. You can't really play, but MS Paint.
Oh yeah.
Space Cadet, Pinball, and Minesweeper, and those were my jam.
They were nice because they were free with the PC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
when I got a Windows XP machine, I think I was like 8 or 9. This was one of the free games, and I played it all the time because it didn't cost
Yeah.
anything. It was nice.
I think it also chess was pre-installed, and that was fun. I never
It was
played that.
online chess. I remember that. You could play people online.
Really? I did not know about
Yes.
online.
Yeah. Well, you
Dang.
had to have dial-up, otherwise it didn't work.
Oh,
But you
fair
could do
enough.
like you do online solitaire, online checkers, online chess. I don't know how I remember that, but holy crap.
Did you guys ever
remember.
play games that weren't actually games? Like, and what I mean by that is like, like when I got my the software stack or whatever it was for Windows 98, I just wanted to try everything. So it would like boot up like stuff that a kid would never actually have any interest in. I remember there was like this 3D landscaping software where you could plot out your yard to determine how much it's going to cost to actually do this kind of thing. Like very adult oriented in terms of like super boring concept. But sometimes I think back to these programs, these legacy programs like that. And I was like, how many people in the world in this moment are currently using that software? Is it zero? Is there someone out there still building a yard? Like, I want to know so much. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that
it's
sounds
crazy,
like
man.
when I like the brief time period of when I learned of how to use SketchUp, thanks to one of my like not woodworking, but like one of those like crafting classes I had in middle school. And then like the time period of like I thought it was so cool, I wanted to like play with it, but like I mean it's like a 3D modeling software. It's not like made to be played. But yeah, I definitely had that too, of just like trying to play random stuff.
but even that writing game I was talking about, the one with the safe, we I mean, it was just a program that like you went into it like you were sitting at a desk, you had different books, and you could open a book and you can write in it, right? But like having brothers, we would like put secret messages in the books and then lock them in the safe and like try to like, you know, when your brother logged into your account, they would try to get to your safe and they couldn't. Like it was kind of like this weird, I don't know, like there was like some sort of like weird energy to it where it was fun, even though it was not a game. It was just a writing application, but like you kind of like keep your secrets in the safe. So I don't know. I don't even know it's even in the safes. It's just like,
It's almost
Okay.
like trying to play like hide and seek with Google Docs or
Yeah.
something like that.
pretty much.
I guess.
Have you guys ever eaten food that isn't actually food?
What?
Follow-up question. No, I'm just making a
For
joke.
games that aren't
Yeah, have
actually
you ever played a game that's not a game? Have you ever eaten food that's not really
I was gonna
food?
say I have played a game that's not a game, and that's Microsoft Paint. I would like
Ooh, yeah.
draw
I mean,
random stuff in there, and I was like 6, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
I remember
there you
when
go.
when I discovered Microsoft Paint back, but like this was YouTube was probably already around. I was like a late bloomer to that, and like I discovered like Sonic sprites and stuff like that, and I figured like you can edit them in Paint. You can edit photos in Paint. I
Yeah.
can make my uncle look like a hobo. Like just
Time to make my Sonic OC.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's just green
and,
Sonic.
and that's
Yeah.
that's how I used to do it. That and Windows Movie Maker were like my first tools.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I remember using Windows
also-
Movie Maker when that was the only thing available in like
Mhm.
2004, 2005. There was very little for video programs. Like Adobe Premiere Pro and Vegas were not, easily
I
accessible
don't even think they were a
to
thing.
consumers.
Well, like, yeah, they probably were a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just
I,
gonna say. Oh, sorry. I
No,
want to
go
say
ahead.
you can't stop me. World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and Warcraft. Like those games took up. I mean, not all of them. Okay, one of them took up, and you know which one. Way too much of my life. But I legally cannot get out of a discussion about childhood
Old
PC
PC
games without
games,
bringing
yeah.
those up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
Hey,
I just got
I
the letter from their lawyer. So not that I've done that, I'm good.
I think I spent an entire year of my life logged into RuneScape. I think when I checked my account, it had like 360 days spent in in-game time.
Wow. It's crazy.
Spicy.
It was so big in high school, so big, and I mean, honestly, like it was like so much fun. I remember spending tons of summers and stuff. Just it's just so funny looking back, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like an entire year in that game.
That's
Sorry,
wild.
man.
What were you gonna say, Tetris?
Oh, just remember talking about like 2005-ish programs. I was just saying like on top of Microsoft Word, I used to do like claymation things. So it was like another I can't remember what it was called, but it would pretty much just take a photo every like couple seconds. You'd have to move whatever. There was that, and I remember with Microsoft Paint, on the Microsoft Paint debacle, I remember like making comics in Microsoft Paint with like sprites and stuff.
I think I
it's
tried
like
doing
that
that
just
too.
takes-
Oh my god. Yeah,
It
like I
takes me
wanted to.
back.
Yeah, I think I did that.
I got
That's
a,
wild.
I just like
a hacked copy of RPG Maker 2000, and that's what got me into
Hell yeah,
MS Paint for sure.
get game
That's
development too.
Wait, that got you into MS Paint?
Yeah, well, because again, in terms of image editing, you would have these sprite sheets that came off the
Oh.
game. You pop them up. I think there was a guy's name, Don Miguel. I think was the guy who ported it. I'm probably butchering his
No
name.
idea.
no idea.
I don't know either.
Oh
Sorry.
man. But that stuff among like Putt Putt, Pajama Sandwich, I just played recently. Like those were all great edutainment games, and it was a lot of fun going back on this like adventure, I guess, into memory lane and being like, oh man,
Heck yeah.
all these games we play. I love that like we all just dude Oregon Trail. like we had a 5-minute discussion on that game. That was great.
I feel like sometime we'll have to do a discussion specific to just cereal box games. I feel like there's a lot
Oh,
to
yeah.
uncover there.
I was gonna say that, and we can have another discussion just on like Flash games of like the later
Yeah,
2000s.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I have so many memories with Flash games.
Yeah.
So many. Because we've like dabbled with that in like certain podcasts. We've never really gone super in depth with them.
Yeah.
For sure. But we've obviously talked a lot about different games from this time period in our life. For those listening, what games did you play growing up? Did you play any of the games that we played? We'd love to know kind of your thoughts on these games. If you had similar experiences, we'd love to read them in the comments. So if you can leave a comment, that is. But
Or are we just disgusting boomers
yeah.
who are playing games that you've never heard of?
That's true. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. This was Minus Cast episode 37.
That's
Just
right.
kidding, 21.
It's the one.
God.
And we'll see you next time in a bit.
In a bit.
Cheers.
All right, bye.
Can't say cheers now.
Okay, fine.
You have to do it
Cheers is
before.
canceled.
Gee.
Cheers
Bye.
is canceled.
I'll do the Nico. Bye.